Hi, I am Kirsten Voorhees. Welcome to what I think I am going to call It's Loud in Here. And I don't know, there's just a lot of stuff in my head all the time. And I figured this might just be a way to get it out of there. And I got gifted some podcast equipment for Christmas. So we're going to try this. So I guess for starters, I am 43. I'm single. I live in Frederick, Maryland. I live by myself with three dogs, so it is legitimately loud in here. So if at any time you hear barking, it is just the madness that is my house. I also live, I don't know, a stone's throw from the local hospital, so I hear sirens all the time. So it is also loud out there. And I have a very, very amazing case of ADHD, so it is loud in here all the time. So we're just going to see how this goes. I've always had a lot to say, and some people in my life get more of it than others. Poor people. So we're just going to try the interwebs and see how that goes. I listen to a lot of podcasts now. I clean houses, so I was a bartender for 12 years, and I got sober 6 years ago, six plus, September 13th of 2018, and I have no problem being around alcohol, but drunk people are the worst. So I ended up starting to clean houses, and I normally would listen to music, and then I just got sick of my songs. So I started listening to podcasts, and I was listening to one recently, and she gave advice on how to do this, and she said just start. And I have been spending maybe like a month and a half or so since I got this equipment, thinking about what I wanted to say and just going over and over and over and over and over, and it just makes my head louder. So I am just going to word vomit all over this thing and see if anybody actually wants to listen to it. So I had a weird morning. I got a message on Messenger from a friend of mine, and it was an article about a man I dated back 2015, like late 2015, I think, to the beginning of 2017. And I think that everybody in their life just has one ex that you just want to go back and smack yourself because of. And this is mine. You know, he was a bad man then, and he's a bad man now. And I in my drinking was very depressed. I drank a lot. I also did drugs. This man consistently had stuff, so I couldn't see all of what was happening around me at the time that it was happening. So I didn't really understand what I was sitting in until I was out of it. And I did eventually get rid of him, but I didn't realize that he was lying about getting a divorce, and he was beating my dogs and stealing from me every chance he could get. Very emotionally and verbally abusive. It's possible that he was physically abusive. I am a blackout fall down drunk, so I don't know. But it's just a very bad man. And I got rid of him like I said, in 2017, and have not ever looked back. He's just a smudge on my rear view, and they say that your body like changes every 7 years, so basically it's like he didn't exist anymore. But I got this message today with this article in it, and he has been indicted for the production and possession of child pornography. And it's baffling to me. He's got three daughters. I met all of them. I mean, one of them stayed at my house. I really thought this man was getting a divorce. I need you to know all signs pointed to this man getting a divorce. And he's got three daughters. And I think maybe four. Nah, I don't know. Definitely three, maybe four. I think he had another kid after me. But you could not have told me this would happen. And he ended up like kidnapping this kid, and it was a whole thing here where people were searching for him. They found him. The state charges got dropped so they could charge him federally for the production and possession. But in any case, I mean, this man is awful, and I really hope he goes to jail for to federal prison for as long as he possibly can. I hope it is a miserable time. I do in fact enjoy that karma always shows up. I mean, that girl's wicked, and sometimes she's a little slow. He did get hit by an Amazon truck shortly after we broke up, and broke his pelvis. So she wasn't that slow. She came in a little swift and then took her time. But my point in this is that people always show their true colors, right? And like, I have this thing in my head where I think I know things and then I think I'm wrong, and I think I know things and I think I'm wrong. So I doubt myself a lot. I doubt my gut instincts. I doubt the way that I feel about things. And the temperature of this country right now, it's very easy to try to doubt the things that you're hearing. And there's so much misinformation and just awful stuff out there, right? Like people attacking people. And what I've learned since I got sober and since I've been on this journey of self reflection and all of these different things, right, is that two things can be true at one time. And I wish that more of us could see that, right? Because it's hard. It's hard watching what's going on and seeing people be afraid. I've got a trans girlfriend who is planning on moving out of the country because she is afraid for her life, and I get it. I really do. I completely understand. But I can't watch what's happening and not wonder where we went wrong, right? Because I I lean liberal. You know, I voted for George Bush twice. I voted for Barack Obama twice. I voted for Hillary. I voted for Biden. I voted for Kamala. I I've played the game of voting for the devil you know versus the devil you don't know. Man, I couldn't vote for Trump. There was not one piece of me that could vote for that man. And it was never necessarily because of who he is, because he's exactly who he is. And I love people who are exactly who they are. I used to bartend with this guy, and he was a douchebag. And women would come up to me that hooked up with him, and they'd be like, "You know he's a douchebag. How can you be friends with him?" And I'm like, "Well, I know he's a douchebag. Never disappointed. Never disappointed. I know exactly what to expect." So, Donald Trump is exactly who he is. And he was never really what scared me. This is nice. Big fresh wash hair. I listened to the Giggly Squad. Paige DeSorbo said, natural waves we're in, so we're going to live with it. He's exactly who he is, and he's not a great man. He's not a kind man. He's a mean man. What always made me nervous was the wake of stuff behind him, like the Project 2025, the Uber Republicans, the far alt right. Like there are there are people that really want to stifle that I don't think are Republicans anymore. I think that this is a different breed. I think that this is the shut him down and find him later kind of people, and that's what I thought would follow him. But what I think really this man did was he opened up the narrative, this hair, that you could say whatever you wanted and it didn't matter anymore. And I grew up, I think I said it, I'm 43, right? So I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, and I gotta tell you that one of the things I love about now is that there is a greater freedom, right? Matthew Shepard was murdered when I was in high school, and I didn't know anybody. I mean, there was conjecture about people being gay. I did choir, so of course there was, but we didn't have very many, if any, openly gay people when I went to high school, and I love that is a thing now. But also, we just didn't care, right? Like, I am an alcoholic. I have been sober for 6.5 years, and that's awesome for me. And nobody else should care because it doesn't affect them. It's not a part of their lives. My drinking didn't affect anybody else, right? So it doesn't affect anybody. And we've made all of these words bad words. Like I listened to Joe Rogan talk about how the Democrats are trying to get rid of free speech, and now Donald Trump is legitimately going after free speech. It cracks me up. But it's one of those things where we just made all these words bad words, right? Like tranny was never a bad word because transsexuals were never bad people. Nobody cared, right? I am sorry. If this offends you, I am sorry. It's because please don't be this way. But I use the word retarded. I use it in relativity to idiocy. We have idiots running around all willy-nilly, no accountability. We stopped calling people retarded. I absolutely use it in reference to that. I also sat at a dinner table and watched grown adults mocking a child with a stutter right after they told me that me using the word retarded in reference to idiots and nobody with a physical or mental disability was offensive, and they're mocking a child with a stutter. So like you can be offensive or you can be offended, but two things can be true at one time. I can use the word retarded and not mean it offensively, and that's okay. And we just started to make everything everybody's business, and everybody had to notice. I think that social media is part of the problem, and I'm not social media. I have Facebook, I have Instagram, I have TikTok, I have a problem with sharing too many memes, and I'm all over the fact that what is happening right now is not okay. I do all the things. I'm not saying don't use social media, but it made us all feel so self-important that it had to be about who we were and not the greater good, right? Like the greater good. Hot fuzz. So, like it wasn't just that I'm a woman and I've been in abusive relationships and I live alone. It's how far can you go down the spectrum of what makes me special, different, and necessarily better, or you know what I mean, like more oppressed? Or we played this game where it had to matter to you that I am trans, it has to matter to you that I am something. We all had to have our own letter in the alphabet, and then on top of that we took away the identity of anybody who wasn't one of those things. I am a white heterosexual, mostly woman, and so I am not seen as important or valuable as someone who is, say, a different ethnicity, or make them a lesbian, or and we did this as a society, and we said we are more important than anything else, and we made everything so hard to listen to, and everything became cancelable, and everything became offensive, and you still can't have another opinion, right? Like, I think that every single person out there deserves the right to health care. I don't think that women are my voting point, by the way. I vote one issue. It's women. I vote for women. I vote for women. I have a uterus. I've had it my whole life. I have used my free choice. That man who is being indicted on child pornography, I thought I was sterile. He got me pregnant. I will never regret that I am not tied to that man for 18 years. Not a moment of my life will I ever regret that. So I've used my choice, and I solely vote for women. There are other things that I care about that fall under that umbrella, but I vote for women because it is bananas to me that I just don't have rights, right? Like, it's not just, oh, you're a human, you exist, go do stuff. It's not like that. I have to have validation. I have to have an amendment. I have to have a husband. I have to have excuses, reasons. I have to have things that aren't just, you're a human, you walked into the doctor, get what you need, right? Like, what if all of a sudden we just started saying that if you are a man in a certain states at certain hospitals and you have clogged arteries, you can no longer get a stent, right? You can't get the stent you need to save your heart from that clogged artery because we don't do that in Kansas, right? So then you got to go all the way to, I don't know, let's go Washington. You got to leave Kansas to go to Washington to get the stint you need. You got to make it there in time. You got to make it there, not die. You got to find someone who will do it. And why? That drives me nuts. It drives me nuts that any women have died. My mom is a nurse. She is now she's retired, but my mom is 78 years old. She's retired. She went to nursing school in Canada. She moved here in the 70s, met my father, got married. She is a citizen. She got her green card. She got married. She stayed. She finally got her citizenship. It was a really big deal. We were all there. But she was a nurse. She was a nurse in Canada in the 70s. And she watched women die, because the abortions don't stop. And if women can't get the care they need, they will die. You hear that? If you can hear that, that's my dogs. So I vote for women. I vote so women don't die. I vote because women are alive and what is growing inside of them is not yet. And I don't think that idea of life is more valid than the one that already exists. And you will never change my mind. You will never change my mind on the value of a woman, period, end of story, right? Other things fall in there. I believe that people should have access to the care they need if they are trans. I think that it is hilarious that this administration has decided that the T does not exist on the LGBTQ every other letter. I don't know. Because how do you tell? And I'll just use it just baseline, right? Like Bruce Jenner, full surgery, full stop. That man is a woman. That man is Caitlyn Jenner. How are you going to tell the world that trans people don't exist? It's not real. It's only male or female. When Caitlyn Jenner is Caitlyn Jenner, right? Like, full stop. You are ridiculous. That is not real. Do I believe that children should have access to hormone blockers? No, I don't. And I have not done the research. This is a personal opinion. I 100% believe that everybody, when they have actual body dysmorphia, they should be able to change. They should be able to do the thing that gives them the body that is necessary for them to live a happy, healthy life and not kill themselves. 100%. I believe that these children have parents, doctors, psychiatrists that can make this a valid thing. I don't think that every child running around that says that they are bi or gay or queer or lesbian or trans or they, them, that one confuses me sometimes. I don't think that they know what they are. I think that they are children who just want to fit in, and that being just a heterosexual kid who it's not popular. So they all have to be something. So I don't think that every kid that says that they are trans is trans. I don't. But I am not a doctor or a parent, so my opinion does not matter. It just doesn't matter. There are all these things. I believe that our government is absolutely corrupt. I believe that we have a system that is built on money and lobbyists. I believe that we have a system where we continuously vote in the exact same people. Our options are low. They give us the bottom of the barrel. I mean, I was listening to, I listened to so many podcasts. I think it was Pod Save America. And I think he was talking to Steve Smith. And Steve Smith was saying how we didn't get a choice. And we didn't. We didn't get a choice with Biden. And we didn't get a choice with Kamala. And I voted for both of them, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. I would not vote for Donald Trump. He is not a good man. That is not me slamming the fact that he says he wants to drain the swamp, which he is not doing. It is not the fact that he says he wants to save America money, which he is not doing. It is not the fact that he said that he was going to alter the prices, that he is not doing. It is prior to any of his political aspirations, he is just not a good man. He was not a good man when he was on The Apprentice. He was not a good man when he was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. And if one more person posts anywhere on social media, post the Epstein list, I've got one for you. Donald Trump hung out with Epstein. Betcha he went to Epstein Island. So just don't pick and choose who it matters to you that sexually assaults women. Please and thank you. If you want to toe the line, if people are bad because they go hang out with child traffickers and people who have underage girls, cool, I'm down for it. It's kind of fucked up. And by kind of, I mean it is all the way wrong to do those things. But don't tell me that it matters to you when it doesn't matter for the man you voted for president. So, but Steve Smith, he said it. We didn't get a choice. This is all new to me. The last person we had a choice in was Barack Obama. And he was a good man, but if we're honest, a lot of the stuff he wanted to do got blocked, and the people as a whole, as much as everybody's so wishy-washy and unhappy, but it's crazy to me because two things can be true at one time. There can be misappropriations of funds. There can be things that are being done that make no sense to anybody except the people that got it funded, right? They go to Congress with their budget, they ask for money, they get it allocated, and then it goes there. Now, here's what kills me, right? So there's this movie, Dave. I think in movies, I know I'm obnoxious to watch them with, because as soon as I watch a movie, I'm like, that actor was in that movie, and that movie, that movie, that movie. So there's this movie, Dave, with Kevin Kline. It's a fantastic movie. Kevin Kline is the president. He's married to Sigourney Weaver, and there's a guy, Kevin Kline, who is a impersonator, and he's spot on. Want to know why? Same actor. So the president has a stroke or a heart attack while having sex with his new secretary, and they basically keep him in a coma, in an induced coma, and they bring in the impersonator and they make him president, right? And what happens is the guys who were in charge, basically Kevin Kline's, I guess it was probably like his, I don't know who they were. They worked for Kevin Kline, the president, and they took over the presidency when he was in the coma, and they weren't good people. And so there was this children's shelter in D.C., and Kevin Kline went there, and he's hanging out with the children, and he's like, that was great. And Sigourney Weaver's all angry because she storms in, and he's cutting it. He's cutting the program, right? He's cutting the program because they need the funds to go somewhere else. And this is a program for after school for kids in D.C., so they have food, they have a safe place to go, they're not on the streets and gangs and drugs. And Kevin Kline, Dave, the guy who's impersonating the president, goes in and we're going to fix this. And he sits down with his cabinet members and he says, this is the amount of money we need to save the shelter, right? Maybe it's a homeless shelter. So this is the amount of money we need. And they go through all of the money, right? And they just, without actually shutting down the shelter at this moment, they go through and they cut 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 until they've had enough money to make sure the shelter doesn't shut down. Now, here's what kills me is that two things can be true at one time, right? We need to find money, but we need to find money without cutting out the good stuff. And that's not what's happening, right? That's not what's happening. We've got USAID got shut down completely, and some of the stuff they were doing, it's necessary, right? Like, I know that we don't have to care about the rest of the world. I know that. I know that we don't have to care about the rest of the world. I'm very aware. America first. I get it. But we have access to medications and science that a lot of the areas in Africa do not. And because we cut off antivirals for HIV and AIDS, people are going to die and they're going to spread the disease, right? Millions of people. And they had some of the drugs and we said, you can't use those. We cut off medication down there for tuberculosis. We cut off medication for, it stops hemorrhaging in children, right? Rectal hemorrhaging in children. We cut off that medication. We cut off funding to women's domestic abuse shelters, right? Women in West Virginia were turned away because they didn't have the money to keep their doors open. You know, we hurt ourselves in the name of money. And it's not real, right? It's not real. It's all conjecture. It's all hyperbole. It's all, this is what they're doing and this is why it's wrong. The new Secretary of Homeland Security spent $200 million on a commercial. $200 million on a commercial. Let's try this one more time. $200 million on a commercial, right? And the budget, which they got to find the money to give the tax break to the billionaires. And it's going to come out of SNAP, and it's going to come out of Medicaid and Medicare. And I hope that it becomes that overtime is not taxed and Social Security is not taxed and tips are not taxed. And should it ever have been that way? No. But to get that, we shouldn't have to cut programs that help people that need help. And I don't know why we can't elect people. I just don't know. I don't know why this is all we're stuck with. And it's pissing me off, man. It's pissing me off that this is what we get, right? And they didn't have the votes to pass the budget in the House. You know, they didn't have the votes. But Donald Trump did what he did. And he gets on the phone and he yells at these Republicans for not passing his bills. He yells at them. And you want to know what they do? Because they're afraid. What are they afraid of? They're afraid of not getting reelected. That's it. They just don't want to lose their place in the House. That's it. They don't want to lose their place in the House. It isn't about me. It isn't about you. It isn't about anything other than them staying in Congress, right? So I just don't understand why we have to still live this way. I don't understand why we have to live this way. I don't understand why it has to be this way for the rest of the time. I'm not saying they're all bad. But I'm not saying any of them are very good. And I don't understand why we can't just burn it down, man, in 2 years. Why can't we burn it down? Why can't we burn it down and vote in a whole bunch of people who have no political affiliation? Why can't we? Why can't we say enough? And we vote in a whole bunch of people like AOC, who has no ties to lobbyists because she didn't take any money to get elected, right? We go viral on the dumbest stuff on the internet, the dumbest stuff. No offense, man, Hawk Tour Girl, I know you've been missing. I'm sorry about that coin. Literally, that girl went viral and got a podcast. All this stuff just because she made a joke while drunk about spitting on a penis before she gave it. It's very confusing to me. I don't see why you got to spit on it. To spit on it's a very big thing in my brain. It makes zero sense. Has made zero sense the whole time. I don't understand why we can't just say, that's it. I'm done. I want to run for Congress, right? I looked it up. I think you need $5,000 to show you're serious about it. $5,000, you can run for Congress, right? I got to do more digging. I'm just saying, right? A whole bunch of people who just go viral on Spotify or Apple or TikTok or Instagram Reels or something. They just go viral, right? And enough people hear them and say, well, maybe because they're beholden to no one, we could get them elected, right? And we could do this. We could do this. We could do this with the entirety of the House and the Senate. We could do it. We could take it all. And not for Democrat and not for Republican, for us. For us. We could take it for us. We could take it for a whole bunch of people who have waited for someone to say enough. Enough, and you guys matter. You know? I am not entertained by what is happening with the cost of living, and it's hard for me watching some of the people. I love that RFK wants to go after food. We are an unhealthy country. Without a doubt, we are an unhealthy country. Please don't talk about vaccines, because people don't realize that some of them are good. I think the chickenpox vaccine is stupid. Let's talk about it. I was born in the 80s. My neighbors got chickenpox. My parents sent all of us, me and my two sisters, we went on an overnight sleepover to the House of the Pox, and then we all got chickenpox. We don't need a vaccine for that. Give them chickenpox, let them scratch oatmeal baths. It's a whole thing, you might scar, right? I am never going to stand up and be like, COVID vaccine. There's just not the evidence to do that. The flu vaccine, sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I get the flu, sometimes I don't. It is what it is. MMR, man, come on. Measles, mumps, and rubella. Texas, you're dumb. Texas, you are dumb. You know, it's not, it's not like RFK is a bad guy, man, but he's got a big platform and a big mouth, and people listen because people are stupid. Because we have forgotten what critical thinking is, and so we just eat this stuff up, man. I have watched people with Donald Trump, man, and God bless you, because Donald Trump, man, he's good at it. He is the king of making you swallow his stuff. I have watched people stand in a line for a shovelful of manure, and after they swallow, they Oliver Twist that man and say, "Please, sir, may I have some more sup?" Because that is how much they believe the nonsense that is coming out of his mouth. That man legitimately said that the Haitians were eating our cats and our dogs. They're eating our cats and our dogs. And we believed it, right? Because anybody else says that. You're like, yo, that's nuts. Nope, not that man. They believe it. They believe it because they're angry and they're poor and they're tired. Give us your angry, you're poor, and you're tired. Give us your angry and you're poor and you're tired. And he took them. He took them all, man. He took them all. And he fed them some stuff. And he got them all to vote for him. And he didn't just get them, right? Because they swung so far in the other direction that they got the House. No checks and balances, man. I don't know that people know how scary that really is. So I just say we take it back. I say we take it all back, right? Goonies. This is my wish, my dream, and it didn't come true. So I'm taking it back. I'm taking them all back. Why don't we take it all back? This was a country of the people, by the people, for the people. This is not a country of the people, by the people, for the people anymore. This is a country of the rich. This is a country of the rich, thinking for the rich, by the rich. And people that are not rich, just keep voting them in, because what choice do we have, and who's showing us better, and who is stepping up and saying, me, I will do it. I will go to Washington, and I will fight. I will fight so that we keep farms alive, and I will fight so that children don't have to go hungry. Because, man, why do you guys always got to step on the children? Legitimately. Like, leave the kids alone. I will never understand. We set up programs to help kids, right? And then, God help me, I just don't understand why they need help. Why do my taxes have to go to help people? Why? Listen, man, you can't blame a kid for having a poor parent. They were born. That was it. That was all that happened. And not for nothing. You know, one of the big things the Department of Education does is they give money to Title I schools so that Title I schools can get books and computers and access to education that they didn't have before, because no one cares about poor people. They don't care about poor people. So what was Department of Education was trying to get everybody educated so they can try to do better, be better, live better, and not be poor, right? Nobody wants to live off the system. I don't know why anybody's like, look at me go, right? That's not real. But the people... You hear that? Someone's probably existing in this world, so my dogs are barking. But the idea that anybody really cares. I love all the people out there, like, we're giving money overseas. What about our homeless? What about our veterans? You don't care. you don't actually care about them. Because if you did, you would recognize that the VA is a mess. Their hospitals are a joke. The people have never been taken care of that come back from war, ever. Right? And most of the people on our streets, it's a comorbidity. It's not lazy people who don't want to work or hapless drug addicts. It's people that have mental health issues, find a way to self-medicate because a lot of times they do not have health insurance. And their solution is drugs or alcohol because what's going on in their head is not okay, right? But then we just leave them on the streets and we judge them and we don't want to see them. We want them somewhere else, right? I'm not saying let's San Francisco this place because that's not working either. And I know that, what is it? Portland? Somewhere is a mess, right? I'm not saying do that either, but solutions, right? But say you build a cheap housing. Nobody wants Section 8 near me because now we've got crime. So what do you really care about? What do you really care about? It's like Pleasantville. You just want everything to look nice. Literally, hot fuzz, the greater good, right? They murder the kids that are spray painting to keep the town nice. And they kill the mime to keep the town nice because they don't actually care. They just want everything to look nice. And I feel like we should be people that care. And I feel like we could be. That's my favorite part about all this, right? Is they're doing all these tax cuts. And what they're doing is they're facilitating their gigantic tax cut for the billionaires. Because we just need all the monies. I don't know if you guys realize that they don't want a lot of the monies. They want all the monies. And I'm not mad at you for it. I love money. Money makes me happy. I don't know if you see all those clothes. I got a room full of shoes over there. I don't drink or do drugs. I quit smoking cigarettes. I rarely have an energy drink. My dopamine is buying things. I love me a Nike. Love me a Nike. So I get it, man. I want the money. But they want all of it. Not even like an amount that they cannot spend for the entirety of their lifetime. They want all of it. Man, you want to give your money to something amazing, give it to me. All I want to do is rescue dogs. I want to buy a large amount of land. And I want to rescue dogs. I want to bring them on my land. I want to build some barracks, let addicts, alcoholics come and learn how to take care of something other than themselves so they stop being selfish pieces of garbage. Give me money. You want to be a billionaire and you have nothing to spend your money on? Give me money. I just want to rescue dogs. I want them to live the rest of their life free, not in a cage, never have to worry about anything but living and dying, right? I don't care who adopts you. Come to my farm. Come to my compound dog pound. I just want to save you. But these billionaires, man, they just want all the money. We could take the money. We could take the money that they say that they're saving. We could take that money and we could have universal health care. And maybe there's a way to do it better, right? Sweden pays 38% tax, 38%, and they don't hate it. You know why? Everything's paid for. We should absolutely 100% still have free higher education. They used to do that. They had state colleges. They were free. Get out of high school, you want to learn more? Cool, go there. Now Harvard, man, pay for it. Yale, pay for it. But you want to go to college, it's free. You want to go to trade school, it's free. Why should you have to stop learning? Why? Right? We pay for ADHD. We pay for firefighters. We pay for policemen. We pay for EMTs, except we have to pay for ambulances. Why? Why do I have to pay for an ambulance? Why do I need to drive myself when I am dying to the hospital to avoid an outrageous fucking bill? Bananas. That money that they are saving for their billionaire tax plan, which is actually going to raise our deficit by trillions, right? Trillions. Why don't we take that money and put it back into ourselves? Why don't we put everything into ourselves? Why don't we take it back? We got 2 years, man. We got 2 years. We get our people on the primary. And I don't even know who I'm talking about, man. Just people who care about the people. People who want to see. People who just want to see us thrive, man. They want to see the actual people of this country thrive. Not the billionaires. The rich are already rich, man. That ship has sailed. That is done. I'm never going to be a billionaire. I'm 43 years old. If I retire, we will be lucky. Right? Again, I buy too many Nikes. I have no retirement plan except my Nikes. We just live like that. The rich are rich. That shit is done. They have all the money. Why don't we figure out how to make it so the rest of this country that isn't rich, right? The ones that are trying to figure out how to buy groceries, trying to figure out how to pay rent, trying to figure out how to clothe, and these power companies, that is bananas. I just got my bill. I'm not happy about it. $300. My house is 800 square feet. I know that it was cold. I know I have space heaters still. $283, 800 square feet, 1 month. Come on, S my D. I am just saying, right? We can do better. And we can do better. We can't jump down anybody's throat right now. What's done is done. We did this. We did what we did. We got what we got. People that live in Republican areas, the stuff they're going, call them. Call them, bother your people, bother them incessantly, bother them and bother them and bother them and say, no, we will not vote you back. Warn them and scare them every day. All of you, warn them and scare them so that they don't rip away the things that we have set up to help our people. Do it. Do it. Kids are going to lose food. They're going to lose SNAP. We are going to lose food stamps. Food stamps, we'll probably lose those. He said we weren't going to touch Medicaid. That was not true. They're going to go after Medicaid, and that's going to disabled elderly. That's going to kill them. Medicare, we're gonna lose a lot here, right? Go attack your people. If you live in the Republican areas, attack them. Just get them. And Democrats, they're going to do what they're doing. They're going to keep voting no on everything. They just don't have the people. We're stuck. Again, we did what we did and we get what we get. And for those of us that saw this coming, I had hope, man. I swear to you, when I watched him win, all I said was, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong about everything. Maybe I'm wrong about everything. And I love being right more than anything. There's a saying in AA, and it is, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? And I have said this since day one of sobriety. Being right makes me fucking happy. But I gotta tell you, man, this one doesn't feel great. It doesn't feel great. I don't know if it's ever gonna feel great. We did what we did, we get what we get. And I hope that when spring comes and it's not so dreary and maybe everything starts to feel a little better, and maybe this man, maybe next month, prices will go down for no reason because tariffs aren't going to facilitate that, and price gouging isn't going to stop, and people aren't going to stop buying things, so supply and demand is not going to change, and we do what we did and we get what we get. But maybe if we just start here and people just say, that's it, man. I want to start a party. I want to call it the Earl Grey party because we can't have a tea party. But the Boston Tea Party, man, like legitimately, we had a revolution against our country, and it started with tea. Apparently there was a tea party a couple elections ago, maybe last one, and they sucked. So we're not going to do that. But what about the Earl Grey party? Because Earl Grey tea is sleeping time party, sleeping time tea. I'm just saying, man. Why don't we take it back? Why don't we take it back? We did it once. And then we fought to keep it together in the Civil War, right? And I gotta say, I'm saying this. I'm saying it as loud as I can. We should not be siding with Putin. He is a bad man. He is a murderer. He is a known murderer. That is not real. You cannot justify this. You cannot be like, well, the Ukraine, if the U.S., if China was constantly threatening to put bases in Mexico, we would nothing. That doesn't mean invade. That doesn't mean bring tanks. It doesn't mean any of that. He's a bad man. He's a bad man with designs on rebuilding the USSR. I gotta tell you, man, just critical thinking. Critical thinking. If the bully on the playground of the elementary school is selling acid, and he's selling acid with the guy who was selling cocaine and the guy that's selling fentanyl, you don't make friends with them. You just don't make friends with them. And we are the people on the playground that are now friends with the LSD seller and the cocaine and the fentanyl. And that is Russia, China, North Korea. Are you serious? Every other podcast I listened to with Joe Rogan, he was talking about how all these Chinese men are coming across the border, and it's all these fit guys. It's all these fit guys who are in their military, and they're buying up all this land. They're buying up all this land, and you know it's because, and what about those balloons? We had cell phones that we stopped using because they were tracking them. Why? We're going to make Gaza into a beach resort. Literally ethnic cleansing. Ethnic cleansing. These things are bad. So, I don't know. This is maybe my last episode of It's Loud in Here, but this is it's my trial. Again, Kirsten Voorhees out of Frederick, Maryland. Look, I even wore How to Scare Campers, Camp Crystal Lake. That is Jason on my chest for my namesake. So I don't know, man. I guess if this works, maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't. But there's a lot of things in my head, and I think that getting him out is better than just keeping him in to bounce around and rattle in there like just a marble in a ball. Because it's so loud, it's driving me nuts, and I'm not sleeping, and I just had to get this out. So I'm gonna have to figure out where to look on this thing because I feel like I'm looking at my face in the screen. I should be looking up there. Who knows? I like the idea of just us doing better and just taking the shit back, right? AOC ran on tips as a waitress. Tips as a waitress. Why not? 2 years. We got 2 years. Let's burn it all down. Let's take it back. So, if you listen to this, I appreciate it. If you didn't, but I appreciate it either way. Thanks.